Welcome to Capacity Conversations. We are thrilled to have you here with us today. Today we're speaking with Tunisha Brown of Impact Magazine, and she has had a blooming and blossoming career that has really turned out to be a worldwide sensation. Her magazine is archived here at the J.W. Marriott Library, and she has a keen sense for developing especially high-profile celebrities, right?
Yeah.
And the magazine is published. Tell me, how far and wide is this published?
It's really global, especially
global
on social
magazine.
media. We have readers in Brazil, in Africa, and London.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and I met you just about a year ago. I was at a Utah business function,
Yes.
and I was just intrigued. I could tell you were somebody with a lot of integrity and honor and a really great presence about you.
Oh,
And one of our local magazine editors mentioned to me that you had a magazine and she said you got to get to know her. So here we are, getting to know you.
yes. I thank you for getting to know me and
Thank you for
getting to
being
know
here.
the magazine.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm excited. I mean, I've followed you on socials and I've seen the things that you're putting out there for that, and you do an excellent job with that, by the way.
Thank you.
I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Really rich media and storytelling.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I love storytelling. That's how we get to the heart of people,
Yes.
through storytelling.
Well, and that's exactly what we want to be able to do today in this capacity conversation, is really get to the heart of the matter. As you know, Utah Advocacy Coalition is founded on the principle and the idea that every person has value.
Yes.
Everyone has something to give. Everyone has an infinite worth. And it's a matter of having the right circumstances, the right supports in place, and the right connections working collaboratively to bring out the best in each of us.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have you here and to look further into your life, because I can't imagine what it is to run this global brand that you have, and really, the depth of personality that it takes to do so. And I imagine there's some backstory to it, and exactly how this came to be is what I'd love to hear more about today.
Awesome. Yeah, so back in 2007, I was basically seeking purpose. I was working at Merrill Lynch in the technology department. I was the assistant to the executive director. And so I was done my work real quick. Like, if I know something, I know it, I get it done, and that was it. And I was sitting around like, this can't be my life. Like, I'm so bored. Like, what is happening? And I knew I was seeking purpose.
Yeah.
And so this young man in my neighborhood named Darren Morris created a magazine, newspaper, and it was called Cream Magazine. And what that magazine did was to showcase everything in the neighborhood. The businesses, they advertised. If it was a graduation, if someone was throwing a party, whatever it was that was good, it was in this magazine.
So like a celebration, a connecting point.
Right, for the community.
Tell me, which community was this? Where were you living at the time?
I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
So, 7-mile radius town, a lot of crime, but we found goodness in what we could.
Yeah.
And he showcased it. And so I was into church really heavy, and I created a newsletter, and I was deep with it. It's called The Oracle. And I created that. It was so deep, and people loved it. And so I was like sitting at work one day, and it just hit me like, you love to write, so you need to create a magazine. And just soon I agreed to the thought, all of these thoughts came in of, things I wanted to do with it, like just this whole creative, download just began to happen. And so the first thing I did was reach out to Darren to ask him, what should I look out for? I told him what I wanted to do,
Right.
and asked him, what did I what did I have to gain for his purpose? And he took the time and we sat down and he told me the pros and cons of his business. And if I wanted to start in the neighborhood, this is what will happen. And far as his experience. And
Right.
so I went home and I was like, you know what? I don't want to just tell the stories of people in the neighborhood. I want to talk about Black people everywhere,
Okay.
And first I was thinking nationally. I didn't know anything about global, how to do that, because this was back before, the internet was really accessible to everyone.
Right.
Right.
That's changed things, hasn't
Yes, so much. And so I just hit the ground running. Just, I had some kind of design. I'm a visual person, so I was able to put the magazine together through Microsoft Publisher
Oh.
and taught myself about the industry, how many pages it needed, and just went on about, getting stories from the community. And my first cover stories for about a year were of the community. And then it grew once people, started to read it online. And it started to pick up a buzz. And then like 2 years later, I moved to Atlanta and I just began to push. And my first celebrity was Kelly Price, who is an R&B diva, Grammy Award winner, and I was amazed to even get that, my first try,
Yeah.
so after that, I just continued to push.
So was it mostly a digital presence that you were able to
No,
build? You
always
had the
digital and print.
Okay,
Always.
and print.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I didn't understand digital.
Right. It was emerging.
I just knew I needed to print it out. So I would print them out using my own money. Now, I didn't have any sponsors,
Were you
partner.
still working at Merrill Lynch?
Yes.
Okay.
And so every month I would put out these magazines and they would go like that. People would take them. Yeah. Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay, and then how did you make the pivot from Trenton, New Jersey to Atlanta? What led you to do that?
Well, what led me to go to Atlanta, which is crazy because years before me actually going to move, a friend of mine had asked me to come to her house for a little while. And I was trying to discover life. And so I went and I was like, I couldn't believe Atlanta, just to see a bunch of Black people like thriving and really being able to do it, the nightlife, it was just amazing. So when I went back home, I knew I wanted to be in Atlanta. I knew if I needed to get there, but at this time I wasn't doing the magazine. I didn't even have my son at that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like right after high school.
Oh,
And so then once I had my son, I had to, life started to become real for me,
Right.
And I was seeking my purpose. And so my son's father reached out to me. He had just moved to Atlanta.
Oh.
He opened up his new tow trucking business. And he was like, you need to be closer. I need to be in my son's life. And I was like, okay. And he just started to sell me on what Atlanta could do for both of us.
Okay.
And really, he made me open up my eyes to what it could do for the magazine. Now, I knew it was a good place, but I didn't know how it would fit with the magazine.
Right.
And after the conversation, I started to research. I'm a researcher.
it sounds like it.
And I started to research like niche media. Because Essence Magazine, Ebony Magazine, they are the conglomerates in our neighborhood, in our community.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be sure going to Atlanta that I would be able to build. And so I started to see that Atlanta, they were like, as long as it was presentable, excellence, and you knew how to write, you can be standing right next to the biggest, journalists on the carpet for Essence, Ebony, Forbes, anything like that, as long as it's reputable and it is good looking. So at that moment, I was like, you know what? I think this would be a good thing for my son and myself. And then it hit me, if you're going to go down there, you have to get this together. You can't. I was doing the graphics myself.
Okay.
It looked okay, for what I was doing, but I knew if I went to Atlanta, I had to up the ante, know. And so I packed up my son and we went. It was just my son and I,
Yeah.
and my son father would be back and forth, so, but it was just my son and myself.
Yeah.
And we left.
And you knew that the community there was open
Yes.
and would receive you based on your
Yes.
experience that you had as a teenager.
Yes.
Right? And so
Yes.
then with that added
Push.
push, that added voice
It took
that
him
said,
6 months to get me to recognize that Atlanta is where I needed to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
And once you got there, did it just fit like a shoe
It
that fits
did.
well?
It did.
Kind of thing?
It did. And it was twofold because Atlanta is funny. Atlanta is full of scammers,
Okay.
but it is also full of reputable businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go through one scammer to understand that stop working in haste.
Oh, right.
You do not
Real
have to rush a
deliberate.
thing, and once I realized that you cannot just run and jump, you have to learn, you have to observe, you have to go network, that's where I learned all of that from. Get to know the people before you just hear a great story and like, oh my God, this is the person that's going to get me here. And okay, you won $500. Okay, here you go. No, you have to get to know people.
Okay.
Even though I was a researcher, I knew research and subjects and everything, but people, I wasn't into that at that moment.
It's kind of a different skill set, huh?
Right. So once I was scammed,
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I have to get to know people.
Right.
And for me, I had to learn to be observant. I don't have to speak all the time. Watch people, watch their moves, watch the actionable substance that come from their moves.
Yeah.
And if it aligns with what I'm doing, then okay. Then we can work together.
Yeah.
But I had to go through that experience. I'm grateful that I went through that experience upon coming to Atlanta.
Right.
Because I don't know if I would have done a lot of things and then been scammed or something happened,
Right.
I would have felt like devastated. But
So it was a lower cost interaction.
even though
that got
at that
you.
time it was
Heads
a
up.
huge cost because it was
Yeah.
money,
Right.
It was time, and I just knew I was working in haste, and I learned to take my time.
Right.
Take your time. You
and
don't have to
and
rush.
it never feels good when you
Right.
realize you've been duped, right? So that's kind of the thing. When you look at your life, and we like to ask this question here, if you kind of go back, and I want to talk more about the magazine and this, but right now we're going to go back in time and go back to 5-year-old Tunisha.
Okay.
And what was going on in your world at that time, and what things looked like for you there, and then think about where you are today. And what, what are some of those pivotal moments that really changed from that 5-year-old person to where you are now? Just kind of give us a couple, maybe 3 examples of what those pivotal moments were.
5-year-old Tunisha, well, I could remember my family was very close, especially when we were younger. 5 years old, I could remember being at my aunt's house every summer. I remember getting homesick at my aunt's house, and I couldn't walk for
Where
a
did your
certain
aunt
period.
live?
Oh, she lived in North Jersey.
Okay.
So that was like East
So very
Orange,
far away
New Jersey.
from home?
About 30 minutes to an
Okay.
hour,
Yeah.
It depends on which aunt house I was at.
Okay.
But my one aunt, Patricia, I was at her house. Let me back up. My aunt Patricia and my aunt Ann, they had like a huge house. Today it would be described as a mansion. After
Yeah.
they left out, it turned into a doctor's office.
Okay.
That's how big it was.
Yeah.
And every summer, my family, because we lived our way, we would come up. And I remember this summer, going up there, and I wanted to be home, and I made myself sick, and I couldn't walk.
Oh, right.
And during that time, it was very good. The most pivotal point for me was junior high school. That time, like fifth grade to 12th grade. That's when like dysfunction let out. That was the Ronald Reagan era of the 80s of crack and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that part was dysfunctional. Very. Yeah.
Because of the circumstances of like your community.
Of drugs in the house.
In your own home.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, and it was in the community as well.
Right.
So a lot of us were going through those difficult situations, but the stem of it was, poverty, drugs, and all of that taking place at one time.
Okay. It's like just this storm that kind of hit New Jersey.
Black people.
In general.
In general, during the 80s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it's drugs, crack, it was in the households running rampant, and it was pushed in our neighborhood. And, when you're dealing with poverty and you're dealing with money, and if you don't have it, you need a way to escape.
Right.
And that was the drug of choice.
So
along
like a
with
self-medicating situation.
Yeah.
Where you're feeling stuck, unseen, unheard, perhaps.
And can't feed your family and everything. So it's like...
So it just feels desperate. And so then this drug use is a mechanism to just release.
And they did release. They was gone, leaving babies everywhere,
Wow.
And it was a lot. And it was my mom trying to keep everyone together. We all lived in the household. Yeah. And some days were okay, and some days were just all out hell, you know? And my mom ran a gambling ring. She would have card games in the house from, not Sunday, because her friend had a game. That's what it's called. A game on Sunday. But Monday through Saturday, my mom had a lock on it because that was her way to make money. Yeah. And so
you had a lot of people coming and going from your house.
Coming and going every day, except Sunday.
Okay.
And she would sleep all day till it was time for her to go to her friend's house to support her friend.
So what did that look like for you?
For me, I was very close with my mom, and I didn't understand it because my mom took care of everybody. So my nieces and nephews, because my older sister was on drugs, my other sister was on drugs. So it was like my mom took everyone in the house. And for me, I didn't understand it, but I understood it. If you can't understand that. I understood that this is our family and this is what she's doing, sacrifices, but I didn't understand the patience she had. I didn't understand it. Like, why are you having these people around you and they're not doing anything? Right. They're not contributing. You're under a lot of stress, but she didn't show it, you know? And so I understood, but I didn't understand.
So was your mom, in essence, a caregiver to all of these people that were trying to treat their ills in this dysfunctional way, like you said, where just things were falling apart? People were reaching for solutions that they couldn't find.
No, they didn't want solutions.
Okay. I was thinking the drugs they were using as a solution to escape, but no, it wasn't even like that.
I could see the drugs being used as an escape because this crack will take over your mind, your will, your emotions. Okay. So it is like you do not care. Yeah. You just want to get high. You want to go back to
just
that high that you had.
Just get me out. Okay.
They always want to go back to, this is what I've heard from my sisters. Yeah. And from people that I've known who's recovered. Right. They just want to get back to that high, that first high that they had, that made them escape, and whatever that is for them, that's what it was. Yeah. And so, they would steal anything to get the money to do, just
because it's just this hankering that's so deep.
They're trying to get that high again,
and there was someone that told me once, someone that she loved was involved in, substance use. And he mentioned during a time that he was clean that he just never could plan for the future. It was just all about the here and now and right in the moment.
Right.
So, so that definitely is something that can come in between you and fully living your life and realizing your purpose.
Right.
But it didn't come in between you and your purpose.
Yes, it did.
It did.
It took me a long time. I didn't find my purpose till I was almost 30.
Okay.
Because I held on to a lot of the things that my mom, I just couldn't understand.
Just like heartbreak?
Yeah, just because she put so much into making sure they're good, making sure, that they get themselves together.
Yeah.
And to me, she didn't pay attention to herself.
Okay.
She was lost in that, but she was fine.
Yeah.
She didn't complain.
Right.
She took care of my nieces and nephews, and she just did, and I'm like, lady.
And did you feel like if she could have taken better care of herself, then she also would have had more attention for you in your life?
And she would have taken care of herself, and in taking care of herself, she would have known my youngest child is this age, and everyone else is grown. This is what I was thinking then. I didn't have children at this point, you know, and she would be fine if it was just her and I, you know, and I, having my son gave me a different perspective, but at this time I just couldn't even understand it. I understood it because I grew up in a tight-knit family where we look out for each other.
You understood the loyalty.
I understood that, and that carries me to this day. So I understood, but I didn't understand why. It's like, these are grown people.
Yeah.
If this is what they want to do and this is how they want to treat their children, let them go and let them do. But she was like, no.
And it didn't feel very grown up to you as a younger person looking up to these people. It felt like they were
taking.
Yes, right. And that is something that's very hard to watch, is when people take instead of reciprocate.
And one thing
give.
that I learned in talking, one of my good friends, Olympia, told me, because it took me a long time through the healing process, and she said, you have to get it in your mind that you can't outgive a taker. So you have to understand that portion, and then you can accept the things that you can't change, you know?
Right.
So I always understand that, and when she said it, just clicked.
Yeah.
So I got a whole lot of understanding of my mom.
Yeah, that's really helpful to think. And when somebody says something like that, that just clicks and it resonates and it kind of puts the whole world back on the right axis to spin correctly again, are moments like that part of what drove you to storytelling?
Oh, yeah.
Because of that power of words.
And the power of words, and I have some great stories that will, people will be like, you're kidding. Like, what? And so putting those together, just the journey for me is the most magnificent thing we as human beings have in this thing called storytelling. It is the journey from us getting from one place to the next. Right. And I love that journey because thinking of my own self, the journey, especially with me and my mom, like that journey is one of a healing process that I had to go through. And she didn't push me to it, you know, she just allowed me to be and grow into it.
So you felt like she could see the pain you were having.
Did. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And then she gave you the space and the grace to allow you to heal on your own time.
Because my mom was no nonsense. She didn't care. She was like, she told me, you know, I did what I thought was best, you know? And so I was like, and when she first said it, I remember the day, and when she first said it, I was in my early 20s. And I didn't understand it. I was like, all right, and left out the door.
Right.
You know, I'm like, but having my son and then thinking back on everything, she did what she thought was best.
Right.
with what she knew and how she knew to move, you know?
Right.
It doesn't mean that it was the best for me.
That's important to recognize.
But
As
it was
parents,
the best.
we can't all in serving the needs of one child or financial needs or the family's physical needs. Occasionally, someone's going to feel
Slighted.
slighted. Yeah, left out is what I was going to say, but slight is probably a better word, more accurate.
Yeah.
And especially so, we work with families that have children with additional needs, things that are extra, and it takes us a lot of time as a caregiver. I myself have children who have had different neurodiverse needs. My son has really significant dyslexia, so his educational journey was very impacted, and we needed to do different things to make sure that not only he could accomplish the work in school and learn, but also so that his self-esteem remained intact. Because that's where it takes a tremendous hit, right? Where when you feel slighted by the world, essentially. And then our youngest daughter's on the spectrum with autism. So she's now 18, and it's kind of, what do we do here? What do we do for now? Where do we go from here? And it really involves the whole family, like you're saying, like in that system, in your household, when there are additional needs, whether they're brought on by themselves or someone else or whatever it may be. What would you say to that caregiver who is stretched and trying, like your mom was, and now being a mom yourself and having a son and understanding those parenting feelings more? What would you say to them, and what would you say to a younger Tunisha?
So what I would say to a caregiver is to not forget about yourself, because in taking care of ourselves, then we are able to see what's needed, how it's needed, and what belongs where, because we have to take the time for ourselves.
That's something, I love the way that you put that, because being able to see clearly is everything. And if we get too close to anything, it takes over.
It takes over.
Yeah.
And then we have to do, and everything has to be put in place. And but if we step back, make sure our mental well-being, all of that is intact.
Yeah.
Like I always say, we were talking about crack, how it's your mind, your will, your emotions.
Right, it's right up in there.
So it suppressed that. It took care of what that was for them that they needed.
Yeah.
So if you take care of your mind, your will, your emotions, you'll be able to see and do, and not to the detriment of yourself.
Right. Like any good artist, I have a little bit of an artist background, and to be able to see what you're painting, you have to step away from it. You've got to scoot back. I remember hearing a story of an artist who painted large murals, and she would do it in her living room. And in order to see clearly what she had painted, she needed to go outside across the street and see it through the picture windows to be able to know what it really looked like.
Yes.
So I guess that's what we're talking about. Okay, now tell me what you'd say to a younger Tunisha. Now that you have the experience you have and the perspective that you have.
I would tell her that even though you don't understand, it is all going to work out for your good. Yeah.
So those feelings are very real.
Right.
And nobody wants to feel slighted or not have their needs met. So
it's all going to work out for your good.
But look at the long haul, essentially. Understand that there is a bright future ahead. Because there has been.
It has.
So let's go back to where you are now. And so you're bored at Merrill Lynch. You're like breezing through work. It's like the kid in first grade who really needs fifth grade math at the time, right? Like you're kind of mind, heart, and soul maybe overqualified for the work you were doing.
Right.
Because of the depth, maybe from things like writing Oracle and being real involved in church.
More creative, because this was tech. You know,
Okay.
I was in assisting the highest person in Maryland for technology. Her
Right.
name was Jennifer Watson, and
Uh-huh.
she was over the entire technology for Merrill Lynch. And I was there, and I was doing her administrative work, and she was very independent, you know,
Okay.
so it was only so much that I was, you know, allowed to do.
Okay.
And she didn't mind, you know,
Yeah.
if, you know, I was done early and worked on things, you know, of my own.
But you were there in case she needed you,
Exactly.
kind of a thing.
And so that gave me the space to wander, you know,
Oh, yeah,
and
in your
say,
mind.
this is not right. Are you going to be here for 5, 10 years doing this?
Right.
And I'm like, no, I can't do it.
And you were feeling it. You felt the pull to expand
Yes.
and grow into. Did you learn some things from Jennifer Watson?
Well, before I had gotten to Jennifer's, to be her assistant, I was a recruiting coordinator for Merrill Lynch. So I
Okay.
had gotten promoted.
Oh,
That is where I learned, oh my God, so much.
The people skills,
Yes,
huh?
I'll never forget this. I worked in a space. When I went into Merrill Lynch, I was in their HR department. Then I was promoted to recruiting. Every day while I was in the HR department, here's the story. This is where I love. So I'm in the HR department. Every morning I would get up and go get breakfast. And Merrill Lynch, you know, they have everything. This is before
okay.
it was just the norm to have everything, to work at home, all of that. And every morning I was passed by a group of women. 1, 2, 3, 4 women. And this one woman would always look at me in my eyes and say hello. And I would speak right back to her, going back and forth. And I saw her one morning, and she stopped and she was like, good morning. And I said, good morning. So as weeks go by, and then my assignment is ending for the HR department because I'm a temporary
Okay.
employee. So I started looking online for Merrill Lynch to see what positions were open. And so I saw a recruiting coordinator position open. I applied for it and go to the interview. Guess who's the interviewer? It's for that department with the group of ladies that would go to lunch every day. And her name is Nancy Rojas.
Is it the one who was looking you in the eye and
Yes,
saying hello?
every time,
Okay.
hello.
Okay.
Never in a million years. She didn't know she didn't know my name.
Right.
She didn't know I was going to be doing this, or said, go and apply.
Yeah.
And so I go in there and I see the ladies, and I just started laughing because this is life, you know?
Right.
And so I go in and see her, and when I walk in, she starts to laugh, you know? And we just have a great conversation. I'll say a conversational interview.
Yeah.
And she spoke about the culture, and she said, you know, us being tight-knit. And in there, she said, you can talk to me about whatever. So fine, I get the job.
Yeah.
Get the job. Now we are hiring. So I was the background check person, and we were hiring, like, we did the whole thing for wealth management.
Oh, okay.
And that's like 50,000 employees, right?
Wow.
You know?
So
and
throughout the nation?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I'm in there, and I'm working with Amita, Kim, Nancy, about 5 recruiters.
Okay.
Right? Executive level.
Wow.
And so it was bum rush. It was overwhelming. And so I've always been very vocal.
Is this is, yeah, in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Always been a vocal person, so I'm not, you know, scared to go say anything to anybody.
Right.
So I went into Nancy's office and I said, I can't do this. This is too much. I didn't say it was going to be like this.
Right.
And she said, what are you talking about, Tunisha? I said, this. I can't find my bearing. Like, everything is all over the place, and I can't work like that.
Oh,
She
okay.
turned around, got a ledger, some folders, and she said, sit down. And so she said, I want to show you my system.
Oh.
She said, do you know how many people I hire and all the things I do? She said, let me show you, because I believe you can do this.
Okay.
She sat me down and she taught me a system of time management, looked at what was priority, showed me these folders. She said, these are the folders because things, so she gave me an entire system of how to manage and handle the workload. And from that, I was done. I was great. And from that time with Nancy, I put those same things in order right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was getting the right
Right
tools.
now. It was the right tools. So that's why when I went to Jennifer, I was good.
Yeah.
She was over the entire technology department. So I should have been working all day.
So really, it was implementing systems that were taught to you that made it possible to do the work there with Jennifer Watson in such an efficient way.
Yes. And for me, in my life, how I look, I was taught that so that I can be able to do everything that I do now because I use the same systems.
Absolutely.
I use the same priority space. I use the same scheduling. I sit down in October of every year and
remember
build out.
you posting about that.
Yes.
And that you take this time and you do that.
Yes, and I scheduled the whole entire year. Now, you'll get gaps in between, but at least I know some things that I can plan out. And that's how I'm able to move and do. And people are like, oh my God, you do so much. I have been trained to do this, so.
There's really something to that, like being able to look ahead and plan and look forward to. I know in studies of happiness, they've found that really it's the anticipation of the event that you are the happiest. Like even when you're out there on the vacation, you're not as happy as when you were dreaming about.
Right. It's so true. That's so true.
So
true.
Knowing what you're in for is super important. Now, in the world of people who are taking care of children with neurodiversity and these kinds of things, I've found the most consistent thing is unpredictability. Like I, don't know what's going to be next. And it's not just in neurodiversity, but really in any kind of caregiving role, like you described with your mother or anything like that. You don't know what's next. And you don't know where you're needed next. So what about that? Like what can we do as far as a system there or... What would you say?
That's why I move with this system for the predictabilities.
Okay.
I have to have a system in place so when the things come that aren't aligned with the plan, I'm able to handle that because everything else is planned.
Oh yes. Okay.
So that leaves me open and good for those things that aren't planned.
Yeah. And those are the guideposts almost.
Yes. So things that come from out of nowhere.
Yeah, because they do, huh?
So I'm able to deal with that because my plan is in place. Oh, I'm already good over here with these 6 things because this is great.
Yeah.
But the things that come from out of nowhere, I'm able to deal with that because I'm not worrying about this over here.
Well, and that makes sense too because like we were talking about things to look forward to. And so even if things are falling apart in one place, your mind just might wander over to, I'm going to a movie on Friday night or just whatever it might be.
Whatever it might be. You're prepared for that.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, as far as storytelling goes and representation, so you told me the story a little bit about why you wanted to be able to provide this other voice, this different voice that celebrated your culture, your community, like your friend with, what was it again? Tell me his name one more time.
Cream Magazine, Darren Morris.
Okay, with Darren Morris and Cream Magazine. Like that, but then kind of taking it up a notch and doing it a little louder.
A little louder.
Broader, I guess.
Yes. And
tell me why.
It just was ingrained in me, like he had it already where we were. He was already doing it.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, let me take the torch and go and do this for our people all around the country and then all around the world.
And the thing that sparked that in you was something that happened when you were in school, right? When you were in grade school, there was a report that did not shine a positive light.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, yes. So I knew that what we were doing was purpose work, because growing up, I was in high school, and it was a big fight that broke out. And the local newspaper loved, even to this day, to talk bad about the town, about the high school. And then it was I'll never forget, it was a big fight. It was so big, the news, let alone the local news, but the Philadelphia news came to the high school, and they interviewed me, of course. We are out there and they came to interview because the local newspaper had deemed the high school a cage of animals. And so they came, and we were all outside, and they were asking the students, how did we feel? And it's like, how would you say that about people?
Right.
And, so when I saw Darren and I saw what he was doing, it clicked, because I got to see and understand why my mom had us living in the neighborhood that we lived in. We went to Black doctors. We had Black school teachers. So I got to understand it, because she wanted us to see, even though we were living in this dysfunction, she wanted us to see better and know that we can do better, right?
Yeah.
And so
There were high achieving people in your community.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, what he's doing and is working and is positive, then let me, I can do this,
Right.
and basically proving them wrong. And it gave me the precursor of what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do positive imagery and use great words to represent my people,
Because you knew that was a flagrant misrepresentation.
Yes, even though my home was dysfunctional, I can always depend on any aunt I called.
Right.
I have 4 great aunts who all passed away, but I can call any of them, any of my uncles, at any time.
And there's always benefits and drawbacks to everything.
Right.
Everything, anything. Yes, exactly. So that's a struggle that people with disabilities have had for a long time.
Right.
Understanding, misunderstanding, really, and being misrepresented or kind of stuck in a position or pigeonholed in a way that's not it's not accurate.
Right.
There are ways that people are contributing that aren't maybe it's not as obvious. It's not the way that we normally anticipate the contribution coming.
Right.
But they are contributing.
Right.
So as you raised your voice and reshaped perceptions for Black people throughout the world, how did that feel to raise your voice and essentially advocate for anyone by highlighting the good? Because that's what an advocate does, right? Like they say, they shine a light on the positive, what is happening, so that people can see more accurately.
Right.
How was that? How did it feel? What was it like?
To me, it is an honor, because we, as Black people, we go through stuff every day, all day. This system was created to oppress us, and so to highlight the amazing things that we do in spite of.
Yeah.
In spite of everything, I take pride. I'm honored to be able to shine a light on it and to brag. I love to brag.
To show
I
that
love
good.
to brag on the stories and tell the journey of, the things that, come and try to take over our lives to destroy us. So for us, with all of these things on our backs, to be able to do and do these amazing, phenomenal things, it's an honor for me to be able to just share and tell the stories of so much greatness.
Yeah, there is a lot of greatness in all of humanity. Right. And it's ironic because we're like our best, what is it? It's not the best bet, but it's like we are the the thing that can help us the very most, and all the while at the same time can be our greatest detriment. And I see that pattern, through humanity. And a lot of times it is simply because we misunderstand someone or something. And, because we haven't taken the time to get to know it, we don't like it. We don't like things we don't know about. And so your magazine and your articles highlight things so that people can let that other situation be resolved, so that people are no longer othered and we recognize each other in our greatness. Is that right?
Right.
So for us as like parents and people who are still very misrepresented as far as like capacity goes, what would you say the, caregivers who many times it's a feeling of being portrayed or thought of as less than. Like, for instance, they'll be so sorry for your situation. How do you overcome that? How do you
overcome people feeling sorry?
Or that perception of like it's something to pity.
Right.
Which pity is not a positive.
As a caregiver?
Or as somebody with a disability. Pity's disdain.
Right. So
which doesn't help.
The one thing I learned about that is my mom passed away in June last year. And my sister-in-law took over taking care of my mom when she had gotten to that point. And it was a lot. Like my sister-in-law, every hour on the hour for 24 hours. And she went to work. She checked on my mom, gave my mom medication, and did what was right by my mom. And I went to try to help her and everything, but I didn't want to overstep.
Right.
So when I went there, I just asked her what it was that she needed.
Okay.
But I didn't look at woe is me because she was giving care to my mother.
Yeah.
I looked at it as an honor that she did take on this responsibility for my mom, you know? And I didn't look at her with pity or anything because, it was like, I look at caregivers through her as people who are like, amazing, phenomenal.
Gaining
I had
depth.
an aunt, my cousin's wife. She took care of my cousin. He was disabled for over 25 years, and she took care of him like that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pity her, even though she was in a situation where she wore it like a badge of honor to do this for her husband, you know? And we can't look at them and say, woe is me and woe is that. We have to be contributing in positiveness. Give them some time. Instead of woe is me, it's like, here's an hour, 2 hours, go to the spa. Go do these things. It's how we look at it. So
give them those moments of self-care, like you mentioned earlier, that people need to have.
They have to think of themselves. And I saw her. She worked at the post office at night, came home, took care of her husband, and never complained. Never complained. So I couldn't look at her as woe is me. And she would not allow that.
Good.
So I saw her, I saw Mary, and then my cousins. They took care of 2 daughters. They took care of my aunt and uncle. They did it, and they didn't want to be looked at like woe is me, and we didn't look at them like that. It was all, how can we help you? I would go sit during my lunch break. Be a resource. I would go, and if they needed a break, I would go sit with my aunt and uncle. We watched the stories on my lunch break. You know, those kind of things that can change the dynamic of a household when you're dealing as a caregiver, as long as the community of family is there to help. And not in a woe is me, but more so as that positive figure to say, I don't want to take over.
Almost
I don't
like a
want to
lifting
pity
up.
you. But I want to help you. I want to lift you up, and I want to come and give you 2 hours, 3 hours. What do you need during this time from me?
I love that. Yeah. Well, and it is true because sometimes, people think that the capacity or the propensity to be is diminished in those moments. And what I'm finding, and you may have seen in your sister-in-law, and actually even in yourself as you were put in uncomfortable circumstances as you were developing, that you really become more through that.
Right.
You're not less, you're more
Right.
compassionate,
Right.
you're more understanding.
Right.
You know, you're able to do more
Right.
because you do see the world more
Right.
clearly.
Right.
And I would say you are less judgmental,
Right.
typically, because of the tough experiences. So,
Right.
yeah.
You have more of what I know for sure is thinking back on, you know, growing up and looking back on situations with my mother, I understand,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm looking through the lens of a daughter still during that time, you know? But now it is with understanding.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I didn't understand back then, but now I do. And so
Okay.
now when I look at different situations with my mom, I have the utmost respect.
Right.
And we talked about it for the last 5-6 years, you know, of my mom's life.
Yeah.
We talked about different stories and, you know, as much as we could because she was going through a lot, you know, but you would never know it with my mom. But discussing with her, you know,
Yeah.
those moments, those integral moments, getting an understanding of, you know, her perspective.
Yeah.
And I never forget, I was living here. It was about 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, and I had released a book about my life because so many
Yeah.
people were asking me about questions of growing up and how I was able to do these things. And I was talking to my mom about it, and before I even wrote the book, because it was a lot about her.
Right.
And growing up in this dysfunction, I asked her, would it be okay? She
That
gave me
makes
her
sense.
permission.
Yeah.
And so we were sitting there, and I was, you know, putting excerpts out of the book. And so my mom's phone was blowing up because of
Oh,
the
yeah.
stories I was
Right.
telling, because I'm very transparent in a lot of my life. And this one moment that I put out from the book, her phone was blowing up.
Yeah.
And so I called her because I knew it was just like
Yeah.
because of what I put out there. And she would answer, hello, just like that. And I was like, she said, I know why you calling me. And
I was
so
waiting
we
for your
started,
call.
right? Because everyone else was calling her. And I knew my mom would be okay because
Yes.
I discussed it with
Because
her.
and she's that type of strong woman.
Yes, and so we're talking, and this portion of the book that I put out, I was like, you know, we were just discussing, I was saying how it was a pivotal moment in my life that
Yeah.
changed, you know, my perspective on everything, far as in a negative way, not
Yes,
good, in
right,
a negative
yeah.
way. And so I was talking to my mom, and I said, you know, I bet if you knew then what you know now, you wouldn't have made that decision. And she said, why wouldn't I? I wouldn't change a thing. And I said, even though I'm telling you like this hurt me and all these things.
Yeah.
And she said, yep, I wouldn't change a thing, because if I would have changed it, you wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't have the morals, the things, and all of the way that you are, you wouldn't have it. I didn't want to hear that. I was so mad at
Nobody
my
wants to
mom.
hear that. Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody
but so
wants to
she
hear
was
that.
truly honoring not only her journey, but your journey as well.
Yes.
And in so many ways saying, you are just right,
You're
just the
fine.
way you are.
You're fine. You don't need to change anything. You don't need
Right.
to regret anything.
Yep.
This is your life. You're a beautiful person, and you live it, and you walk in it. So own it.
Yeah, walk
You
in
know?
it. I love that.
Own it.
And inherent in that, like, and it's okay to feel bad about it. It's
It's
okay to
okay.
have the pain. It's okay to share the pain
But don't wallow in it.
and walk in it,
Yes,
through it,
through it.
and over it.
Right. And be done with it.
Yeah, and we
You
do.
know?
We have what it takes to get over it.
Yeah.
Not by ourselves.
Right.
Like, it takes community.
Right.
We've got to
And
be there.
for me, it was her and I.
Right.
You know,
That connection.
It was her and I
Sees you through.
because she was the biggest portion of the root of the issue.
Right.
You know, it's like
Oh, and isn't that the thing? It's kind of like she'd never been a parent before. She'd never been your mom before. And I find that all the time. Like, there's mistakes that we make. There's things that we walk into or
and
out
never
of
been in
unwittingly.
dysfunction like she had been in.
Right.
That came like a whirlwind.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And so
So
she's
she was doing the best she
navigating this.
could.
And
Yeah.
as she said, I did what I thought was best. I'm doing the best.
That's all that we can do.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
And so I had to accept the thing that I couldn't change,
Yeah.
which was the past.
Yeah.
And in that acceptance of that, I had to get to see her, know her, and understand. At the end of the day, I had to come to the understanding which the acceptance brings.
Yeah.
You know?
I like how you said
Because I
getting to
couldn't-
know her, because you knew
That's it.
her
In a whole
as
nother way.
someone different.
Yes.
Right.
I knew her
From those
as,
childhood
with
eyes.
that negative connotation.
Yeah.
You know, and then once I understood, because my son
Yeah.
came to me and was like, look, I don't like this. You sacrifice all this stuff. We were living fine. And you sacrifice all this
It
stuff
repeated.
to build your
You go-
dream. But you forgot about me. I had a lifestyle. You know, I worked at Merrill Lynch. I had
So
a good
it was in
job,
those
you know?
moments that you said, this
I
sounds
get it.
familiar.
When my son came to me, I'll never forget, he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
So that was about 9 years ago. And he came to me and I was cooking and he said, you know what, Mom, I forgive you. Because what I kept telling him was, it's going to get better.
Oh, okay.
This is going to work. Trust
Yeah,
me, it is
right.
going to work. But through all of that, he was sacrificing with me when
Right.
he didn't know about this. Why? My life was
Right.
fine. Why
He
do
couldn't
we need
see
to?
the vision and
No,
yeah.
not until he was 16. And
Yeah.
we were living across the street from the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha, in Atlanta. And he came to me and he said, I see what you were talking about. You know, I see, because it wasn't easy, but it became an ease. I was able
Right.
to be financially stable at
Yeah.
this time, you know, and things started to look up and, you know, so he began to see and truly appreciate the story, you know, and
Yeah.
appreciate, you know, the sacrifice.
And the struggle too, huh? So he carries that grit and tenacity with him
Yes,
into
with
his
him.
life.
Yes,
And that's important.
yes.
Thank you
Yes.
for sharing your time with us today.
thank you for
and
having
your
me.
story, and to hear more about all of the impact, literally, that you're making with your magazine. You have one certain initiative that you're kind of working on, something you're rolling out. What is it that you're
Oh,
most
gosh.
excited right
I'm
now?
so,
and then we'll go
okay.
ahead and wrap up.
Awesome.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I have learned as a media publisher is that we don't have, as Black media, we don't have a lot of opportunities as so many other publications out. Out of all of the advertising dollars, only 1.6% is given to Black media publishers. And so 1.6% of billions of
Right,
dollars,
yeah.
right? And so, and I know the big conglomerates take that. So smaller niche, meaning myself and other magazines that I know of and know the owners, we are in this space of trying to figure it out, right?
Okay.
And last year I won a grant from a cohort that put us in position where we can present ourselves to different advertising agencies.
Oh, okay.
And that gave me the initiative to want to be a resource for my community, of course, to try to give us an understanding of the advertising world, how it works, and the way that we can put businesses in our midst who are in need of what our demographics can give to them.
Okay.
So I'm working on the Impact Media Advertising Sponsorship Accelerator, which
Okay.
is a creative agency that supports Black media in education, of advertising and sponsorships, partnerships, and also the on the flip side is businesses who are looking for these type of demographics. They can come over to the agency and say, who are your grantees right now? Who's in the midst? And we can show them who we have, and they can develop campaigns for the businesses to showcase on their media platforms. And so it's a double thing. We're going to be that agency to inform and educate, and also the agency that will put businesses in the eyes of some of the biggest Black media that's out there. So that's the biggest thing that I'm working on, because I feel as though if I create this agency, there's no more, there should be less than people saying, well, I don't know what Black media, I don't know where to go.
Right.
We only
that
know
lack of information, lack of connection.
We only know Essence, we only know Ebony. And it's like, no, I have
so
this
there's
for,
more.
There's plenty more who are not just talking about gossip,
right,
not just talking about fashion, but we have some who are some of the biggest in the industry that talks about Black business, and not just talk about Black business, but also when they say go out and buy this business is reputable, that is great quality, the people go. And that's the power.
So call to actions.
Call to action.
Because the community is built in such a way that you're a trusted voice.
Yes.
And persuasion.
Okay. And so I know some of the publishers for these outlets.
Wonderful.
So we'll come together and then bring those businesses to them. There's no more excuse to say, oh, well, I didn't know this person was out there. No, we're going to make some noise. We're going to go on a press run about this and bring it to the public to see, who.
So advocating for all of these
media outlets.
In your industry. And, it really is about that collaboration, about connecting and raising a voice. Without raising a voice, people don't know.
No.
And letting people in on our story, even when it's uncomfortable, gives them permission to accept parts of themselves or get involved in ways that they wouldn't otherwise without us being willing to share. So what you're doing there sounds really
it's
valuable.
Amazing, and it is also a way for businesses, individuals who are looking for these type things, who don't look like us, to come and feel comfortable and say, look, we don't know what we're doing.
But building bridges.
But we know this audience will love our product, will love our service. So let us come to you guys. You create the campaigns, and then we'll put it into the publishing of some of the best media in the country,
That makes a lot of sense. And there are these niche situations that, I feel like disability in many ways has been a fractured brand. And it needs healing because there's so many different types of situations and diagnoses and all of this. And coming together like you're doing, bringing that brand together essentially, then you see there are a lot of people who you can help and highlight and who can contribute in really meaningful ways. So let's let them. Let's let them by giving them a voice and being that one who kind of leads out, shines the light. That's what it feels like, don't you think? It's just like turning on the light switch.
That's it.
And people just didn't know what they didn't know.
And a lot
but they
of
want to
time,
know.
They want to know.
They do.
And they want to make sure that it is open to them.
Yes, that's the thing. We do often wait to be invited. And without that invitation, I think that's the biggest part of being an advocate is you are extending an open invitation to the masses to learn and hear and see and feel the greatness of the people we represent. So, Okay, so we're going to go ahead and have a question from the audience and see if they have some inspiration you can lend to them.
Awesome.
So her question was, in the portrayals that we see in the media, oftentimes we see derogatory things that are shown as far as the plight and dysfunction or difficulties that are experienced by Black and brown communities. And what is it that we can do that would kind of combat that? Is that correct? And what is our responsibility as we view that as a viewership?
The first thing I say for communities that are looking and all you see is negativity is question, why is it that I'm always seeing these communities in a negative light? You have to question that and question what you're watching and looking and reading, because as in other communities, there are a bunch of negative things that's going on since, this country has been incepted. But we look at the good as well. And that good is more portrayed in other communities than communities of color. And so the biggest thing is to question, why is that? And once you do that, then within yourself, you'll feel the need to go and search. Because I'm doing the work. It's already here. I don't need to do anything else. Now the onus is on you to try to find it. Because it's there. It's not too far to look because we're doing the work. So it's like it is always the onus on the person who is seeking. So just like me, I was seeking to understand this business and which way do I want to take? Do I want to be gossip? Do I want to do, So I went and did the research to push out there, no, positive imagery is what we need.
And you stuck with your soul on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so same thing with people who are seeking this type of thing, because you have to know that negativity it's like we are not all doing crazy things. Like you have to question, why is it just negative stuff that's out there? Like, why is it that it is the majority and pushed in your face? You have to question that and then go search for the good. Yeah. What good publishing, what good things can we do to push out on our own end of what the good is of what the people who are coming for the resources or whatever, push that out, the outcome of who they are, and then we're all doing the work. And that voice becomes louder, and that voice will supersede the negative.
And I think what inherent in your question and in your answer, you said this portrayal, and recognizing a portrayal, just like any portrait, is just a moment in time.
Right.
It's just
and it's only
one shot.
thing, and not the whole.
Yeah.
Not
get back away from that piece of artwork
and see the whole
thing. Take the landscape view. Yeah. So this follow-up question involves the disproportionate amount of funding that you mentioned going not towards the Black community, but there's billions of dollars being shared, but not coming to your way. It's like 1 point something you said.
Right.
So what would you, is that trending any differently? It is something that, we experience also as you're asking that question. I think about the many families who need resources. They need connection to extra care or therapies or diagnoses even. And, it's just something not thought of as a priority. Are you seeing any progress as you're advocating for increased funding shares?
What I'm seeing is for the past years, 1.6% have been getting the funding. And so now with Target, Adobe, Walmart, all of them taking their DEI policies and putting them in the trash, one thing that we see now is the fall to the wayside to the commitment they made to our communities. So now I believe more companies will start to come on board with us because Target, all of these companies are starting to see if you don't invest in Black and brown communities, especially Black people, we spend the most money, trillions of dollars. And if you don't want to commit to acknowledging and knowing that there's an issue where we work, how we live,
Yeah.
and that it is suppression and oppression, and you're going to take that commitment away, then we're not going to be committed to your brand.
Right.
And so the companies that we are committed to, look at Costco. Mm-hmm. We left Target and went to Costco.
Right.
And look at Costco.
Yeah.
Having one of the best years in their, the history of being in business. So I think, and the more that these companies who see that we are just as valuable and understand that they have to deliver on their commitments, deliver on seeing us in advertisements, delivering on working with us to get those advertisements out, it's going to go up.
It really makes a big difference to have representation. It's a way of telling stories. Every picture tells a story.
Everyone. It doesn't matter
Every bit
if
of
it's
marketing
race related, disabled people in it. Like, we live in a diverse world.
And we all want to be seen.
And we all want to be seen.
As we are. We don't really want to have to be hiding parts of ourselves.
And so that is where the projection will go. It is going to increase. And that's why I saw the need. And I'm like, when these companies begin to look, I want them to look to my agency to say, we have reputable media companies who are looking and willing and able to take on your advertising and fulfill it, and to have those readers and those watchers and those followers to come and support your brand.
Right. And see it in your magazine. And then you say, okay, I get it. I belong here.
Right.
I matter.
Right.
And then they can matter to you. It's that whole thing about knowing how much someone cares is the way to their heart, really.
And the companies know. They know.
Yeah.
But if it's not a priority, then it's like, we don't need it. We can, and that's the biggest thing that I saw, knowing, being in this business for 18 years. Companies knew that it didn't matter if they advertised to us or not, if, there were other psychological parameters where we would buy the brand just because of whatever.
Yeah.
But nowadays, in this age of AI technology, we need to know who, what, when, where, why before we buy it then.
Right? It's got to be you've
have
got
to
to
know your
really have it at the
commitments.
heart of the level.
Yes. And so now I'm believing that companies are noticing. They are noticing a trend. That's why a lot of them are like, we're not getting rid of our diversity. We might call it another thing.
Right.
But we still going to keep our people at the heart of it.
We need to honor each other
We need
in
to
our
honor,
humanity.
and they see that having a diverse workforce, having the customers, it's a win-win. It's
having new perspectives is how progress is made.
That's it.
You can't innovate if everyone has the same talents, abilities, perspectives, and life experience.
Right.
It has to come through variety.
It's going up. I believe it, and I'm have me back in a year.
All righty. Because it's going to be up and up. We're going to be on the up and up. Yeah. And hopefully for every person that we can just hold things dear and precious, but not so tight that we suffocate them. Yes, exactly. So, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I've really enjoyed talking with
too.
you. Thank you for joining us for Capacity Conversations, another great conversation with a local community leader who's doing amazing things and creating waves and ripple effects and all of the wonderful things that we need to combine together as community, grow, learn, collaborate, and get to the heart of the matter and live our very best lives together. Because together we can do so much. Thank you.